This is a 2-minute audio introduction to a film from the National Portrait Gallery about the conservation of Tudor portraits. The film itself lasts for about 4 minutes and features Charlotte Bolland. She's the Senior Curator of Research and 16th Century Collections at the gallery. Charlotte is in her 40s. She has brown hair that's greying and falls loose past her shoulders. She wears rimless glasses and no makeup. She has a gold stud in each earlobe and wears a plain blue, round-necked sweatshirt. She sits in a studio beside a computer which shows the X-rayed and infrared images of the Phoenix portrait of Queen Elizabeth I. The portrait, painted by Nicholas Hilliard in about 1575, shows the Queen in a black gown richly embroidered with gold tracery threaded with seed pearls. Queen Elizabeth's crimped red hair is held back with a pearl-studded headband, and her face, with its long nose and hawk-like eyes, is a white mask underpinned by a stiff grey ruff. Immediately beneath the ruff, she wears a heavily jewelled necklace with alternating clusters of pearls and rubies. Prominent in the centre is a gold phoenix, a bird which resembles an eagle, the tip of its beak, its wings and feathered thighs dipped in red. Red and gold curved strands around its feet suggest flames from which the bird rises. Discussing an X-ray of this painting is painting conservator Sophie Plender, a woman in her 50s with bobbed white hair who's wearing a black cardigan over a blue shirt sprigged with tiny pink flowers. In the X-ray of the portrait, the Queen appears ghostly white, and the X-ray exposes details of the board on which she's painted. Under infrared, the image, also ghostly white, is shown on a computer monitor and reveals another set of eyes beneath the paint, drawn lower down. The board itself is explored by Dendrochronologist Tyers. A bearded man in his 40s, he has short greying hair and wears a lightly striped pale blue shirt, worn with the collar unbuttoned and the sleeves rolled up. The panels of the board are pinned together by dowels, the joints reinforced by small rectangles of wood with chamfered edges. Each rectangle is about 1 inch by 2 inches and stands 1/4 of an inch proud of the back of the board. Funding for the conservation of this artwork was generously provided through a grant from the Bank of America Art Conservation Project. White letters on blue, National Portrait Gallery.
I'm Charlotte Bolland and I'm Senior Curator for Research and 16th Century Collections. We can use a range of scientific techniques here in the conservation studio at the gallery, including X-radiography, infrared reflectography, photomicroscopy, and we can also bring in specialist expertise in some subjects such as dendrochronology, which is tree ring dating. Scientific analysis is incredibly useful because it gives us a means of often seeing beneath the surface of a painting and of understanding the materials and techniques that an artist used to create a painting. And this can help us to date works and make attributions, and also informs the conservation treatments. The Phoenix portrait is a portrait of Queen Elizabeth I, and it's named the Phoenix portrait because of the jewel that she wears, which depicts a phoenix. And this was a symbol of rebirth, and it dates from around 1575.
Sophie Plender positions the portrait for imaging.
This is the X-ray which we made, and it's another of our techniques for finding out about the execution of the painting and the materials used. And this is actually a split where there's the area running down through the face. There's woodworm in the board, and that's obviously made the panel split, and one of these buttons has been put across that. Then the dowels, these are the original dowels, which we weren't aware of until we X-rayed the painting. With infrared, you can see things which are much less obvious on the surface of the painting itself. You can see here in the face the lines of drawing around the perimeter and the nose. And you'd also see very clearly that during the early part of the painting stage, the face has actually been moved up and there's 2 sets of eyes. Well, we use Italian word pentimento or pentimenti for the plural, which means changes, in English, changes in composition, but in Italian it means a regret. So these are the regrets that the eyes were placed in a lower position and the face pattern had to be moved up to place the head a little higher in the composition. With the microscope, we can also see very dramatically the other eye that's beneath the flesh paint. And here is the first eye, And you can see it was worked up to quite a degree because it's quite strong, the image beneath.
Dendrochronologist Ian Tyers.
Most people are aware that if you cut a tree down, you can see the rings in it, and that those rings tell you how many years the tree grew for. What is less widely known is that the pattern of those rings is a tool that we can use to both identify where and when the tree grew. Each individual tree has its own pattern that is reflecting things that happened to that individual tree in its lifetime, and trees within regions and areas have similar patterns in such a way that we can use them as a tool to both locate, in an approximate sense, where trees come from, and very precisely when they were growing.
The portrait before and after conservation.
The Phoenix portrait of Elizabeth I is in remarkably good condition. When it came into the studio, we could see that it had a really discoloured varnish over time, and this also had become sort of hazy and had a texture to it that really flattened the composition and obscured the kind of colours and the brightness of the technique. That was the primary role of the conservation, was to remove the layers of this discoloured varnish that had built up over time. And you can never sort of stop looking at a painting. You can always learn something new. And so from there, you can see coming through to the surface, as the paint layers in the face have become more translucent over time, this second hidden face beneath is now becoming slightly visible on the surface.
The restored portrait is much brighter by comparison. White letters on blue invite us to explore the collection, npg.org.uk. This audio description was written by Louise Fryer and voiced by Fern Lulham for Vocalise.